I'm just getting warmed up. I'm going to bring the whole diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's got to be biblical.
Damn, nigga, no, we don't give.
You don't have to brag, Mike. We'll brag for you, buddy. Maybe this time Donald Trump won't interrupt our interview. Like he did 2 days ago when Trump came in and said, hey, what's up? We're going to win. And sure enough, you won.
Yeah, it's great. And the best part about this, Ben, is watching CNN and MSNBC explode when I'm tweeting out my victory crows the day after the election. They are just going bananas over at MSNBC and CNN. And I would like to say to those cupcakes over there, keep going. You are raising a lot of money for Article 3 Project, article3project.org, article number 3project.org. I want to put all of these CNN and MSNBC reporters on the Article 3 Project's board of directors, because like Mehdi Hassan before them and Joy Reid and all the other nut jobs on MSNBC, thank you for helping us raise a lot of cash today for the article3project.org. So
here we go. Here's my current mood. This was just broadcast on CNN. Mike, well done, by the way. It's amazing how CNN doesn't ask you to come on and respond to this. That would be wonderful. We remember when you were on the BBC and had to be physically thrown off air at the BBC for calling people bimbos. Oh man, that was legendary, Mike. Here we go. Here you are on CNN. They don't have the guts to actually invite you on. I want to drag their dead political bodies through the streets and burn them and throw them over the wall. Legally, politically, and financially, of course. Mike, would you mind, since CNN doesn't have the dignity to invite you on to explain, why don't you explain?
I'm reading that and I stand by it. I want to burn their dead political bodies, drag them through the streets and throw them off the wall, legally, politically, and financially, of course, because guess what these Biden and Kamala operatives did? They politicized and weaponized our law enforcement and intel agencies to go after President Trump. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to throw him in prison for the rest of his life for non-crimes. They tried to take him off the ballots. They tried to underfund his Secret Service protection and almost got his head blown off. And then when that didn't work, they gutted Joe Biden in a bloodless coup and installed Kamala Harris as their nominee, who didn't get one Democrat primary vote. It didn't just stop with Trump. He is a billionaire, former and future president. It's horrific what they did to him, but he has the resources to fight it. What angers me more than this is they went after Trump's top aides. They put Steve Bannon in prison. They put Peter Navarro in prison. Even worse, they went after these January 6th defendants and they politically persecuted them. Yes, persecuted them, according to the Supreme Court's Fisher decision in June. They also went after parents outraged by gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in high school bathrooms. They went after Christians, pro-life Christians who were praying at abortion clinics. They put a 75-year-old Christian in prison for praying at an abortion clinic while they gave amnesty to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, every scumbag Biden who took over $20 million from our worst enemies. They gave amnesty to BLM and Antifa and Hamas rioters. They gave amnesty to Planned Parenthood activists who were terrorizing Catholic churches and pro-life pregnancy centers. They gave amnesty to trans terrorists who attacked Catholic churches. So yes, I mean every word I said in that tweet.
I want to focus in really quickly here because Julie Kelly was on the program yesterday talking about restitution for January 6ers and how the federal government probably owes some type of recompense based on what's been happening, because not only has it been unconstitutional, it's been illegal the way that they've been treating innocent Americans, torturing them. I think that there is a actual proper definition of this word. They've been legally torturing people and then physically torturing them in prison. And these people need to be made whole. Many of them have been bankrupted entirely. Mike, can you talk through the landscape of what that looks like to make things right with J6ers?
Yeah, January 6th was a lawful protest permitted by the National Park Service that devolved into a riot. And what should have happened is you charge people who trespassed with trespass and you charge people who were violent with violence. But What the Biden-Harris Justice Department did is they treated everyone like they were insurrectionists. How many insurrectionists go unarmed into the nation's capital, walk through velvet ropes, take selfies, and walk out? And they did this because they were objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed under the Electoral Count Act of 1887. It's also allowed by the First Amendment. This is why you don't see John Kerry and Al Gore and Hillary Clinton in prison for objecting to Republican wins like Democrats did in 1968, 2000, 2004, and 2016. But what they did is they took a post-Enron obstruction of justice statute intended for corporate fraud, document shredding, and they used that as a hammer to go after January 6th defendants. They persecuted them. They illegally contorted, politicized, and weaponized the law to go after January 6th defendants. And that isn't just me saying this. That is the Fisher ruling out of the Supreme Court. And they did this, again, while they gave amnesty to much more deadly and destructive BLM and Antifa rioters, right? And now Hamas rioters terrorizing American Jews all over America, particularly on college campuses. So yes, there must be severe legal, political, and financial consequences to all of those involved. Jack Smith, he's seeing the writing on the wall. He's going to shut down his office because he should be fired, right? He should absolutely be fired. Everyone in his office should be fired. They should be referred to the ethics people at the Justice Department because they clearly were violating Department of Justice policy by trying to interfere in the election. It's very obvious. They made it clear they're interfering. They shut down their investigation. They announced they're shutting down their investigation the day after Trump beat Kamala Harris like the drum. You're admitting this was election interference. There needs to be a criminal probe open on this. This is a conspiracy against rights, against Trump, his top aides, his allies, his supporters under 18 USC Section 241. It's not only Jack Smith, it's Tish James, Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, all these Chris Mays in Arizona, these bad actors, these Democrat operatives who are running this unprecedented Republic-ending lawfare against Trump, his aides, his allies, his supporters. There must be consequences for this. There particularly must be consequences to what they did to the January 6th defendants. They need to be pardoned or commute their sentence, pardon almost all of them, commute the sentences for the worst offenders. So there's nothing that happened on January 6th that calls for someone going to prison for 22 years. That is absolutely ridiculous. So you would commute his sentence down to something that's more fair and just and reasonable. You dismiss all of these charges immediately on January 20th. You shut down these offices. You reassign these prosecutors and these agents to real crimes in D.C. and the southern border, and you restore these people with the Department of Justice. There's a fund at the Department of Justice you can do to compensate these defendants who are persecuted under the Fisher. This is outrageous.
Interesting. So this fund already exists if you've been unlawfully persecuted by the federal government to financially compensate?
Yes, and it needs to be more than that. There needs to be bar complaints. There needs to be Justice Department employment investigations, ethics investigations, criminal investigations. We need to send a very strong message. This can never happen again. You can never politicize and weaponize our intel agencies and law enforcement for the sole purpose of going after your political enemy. And that's what happened here. That's unacceptable. And that's why I'm outraged, right? And, people, I always joke that I'm going to be the acting attorney general or I'm going to be the vice. I'm not going to do any of those jobs. I'm going to be a very strong supporter of President Trump through the Article 3 project like I have been for the last 5 years. But I'm going to push very hard for severe legal, political, and financial consequences to these partisan assholes who did this to Trump, his aides, his allies, his supporters.
Mike, it's not going to happen if you have a Jeff Sessions or a Bill Barr in there. The AG has got to be the most important position that Donald Trump will get appointed, and now we'll have a Republican Senate to do it. And so we're looking at this appointment very, very closely. And of course, we're going to ask you, who should it be for Attorney General?
There are a lot of good people. I mean, you hear about Mike Lee, you hear about the state AGs, Paxton, you hear about Jeff Clark. I like all of them, right? I think though the AG candidate who I have been pushing, who I think could get confirmed, who understands the executive branch. He's worked in the White House. He's worked in the Office of Management and Budget. He's worked on the Hill in the House as a leading congressional investigator. He's been an attorney. He doesn't need another job. He's financially secure. His kids are raised. Is Mark Paoletta. Mark Paoletta is far and away the best choice for Attorney General. He's kind of checked every box. He's bold. He's fearless. He's going to follow the law. He's been the most forceful defender of Clarence Thomas, Justice Clarence Thomas. He's been Clarence Thomas's best friend for over 30 years. Mark Paoletta is a good man, great family. His wife is fantastic. I always say that Mark Paoletta is a kept man because his wife, Tricia, is a very successful lawyer. So is Mark, but I think he can go do a government job without having to worry about going into bankruptcy or worrying about his next job. Mark Paoletta is a great friend. He was my wingman for the confirmation of Justice Gorsuch, along with the other justices, Kavanaugh, Barrett, the lower court judges. He's the real deal. Mark Paoletta should be the Attorney General.
So that's excellent to hear. I mean, that seems like a top. That seems like obviously a top and extremely qualified name. Have you spoken with President Trump about this?
Well, I'm not going to say that on your show, Ben. But next question.
So, that's a good one of him and Gorsuch right there. There you go. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So here we go. We're introducing the audience to Mike Davis's preferred candidate for Attorney General. All right. Here he is standing with Gorsuch behind the Iwo Jima Memorial. Pretty epic photo right there. Okay. Here we go. Mike, how do you ensure that these investigations happen? Oh, that's a good one. Toss that up. That's great. Mark Paoletta, ladies and gentlemen. Look at how you've never seen Clarence Thomas smile like this. Look at this. This is an endorsement enough. Sorry, Mike. This is the endorsement that you want.
Those are my two favorite Americans right there. Mark Paoletta and Justice Clarence Thomas. Those are two warriors. I love both of them. I hope Justice Neil Gorsuch, my former boss, is not watching this. But Clarence Thomas is far and away my favorite justice of all time. Not only is he brilliant, he is a great man. This man grew up dirt poor in the segregated South, and now he is the king of the Supreme Court. I love Clarence Thomas. I love Jenny Thomas. What a great American family.
So, Mike, I want to talk about Letitia James real quickly and some of these, the rumblings that we're already getting. We're a sanctuary state. The federal government has no power here. We're not going to do this in Massachusetts. There's going to be no deportations. We're going to fight back. We're going to fight Donald Trump. We're going to make sure that, none of Donald Trump's wall can be built. I mean, we've seen this in the first term. How does Trump break through the amount of lawfare, the amount of demonic screaming from the left, kind of in a way, in the way that uses executive power constitutionally to say this is what's right for the country?
I think President Trump would say this. Even President Trump would say this. I think he learned his lesson from the first term, and that is personnel is key, right? And it is so critically important that you put good people in the right post like Mark Paoletta as Attorney General so you don't have to deal with this nonsense, right? You don't have to deal with this politicized and weaponized justice system. President Trump and his legal team now, led by John Sauer, who should be the Solicitor General of the United States, they've gotten monumental wins at the Supreme Court, including on presidential immunity. Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time. And we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration. Stop messing around. Don't rig elections. Don't illegally vote. Don't try the funny business, because we know the team this time and they are not effing around. And so we've done our best to warn. Maybe just really quickly here, Fani Willis. That seems to be one of the last prosecutions against Donald Trump that hasn't been completely thrown in the garbage just yet. Maybe a message to Fani Willis.
Yeah, big Fani, another one. Where do they find these people? It's just like at Weight Watchers. Where do they find these slobs to be prosecutors against Trump? I would say to big Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, it's very clear that the Georgia Court of Appeals is going to disqualify their entire office because big Fani hired her dumb, unqualified boyfriend, Nathan Wade, paid him $700,000, $250 an hour. And then big Fani took illegal kickbacks from Nathan Wade in the form of lavish trips around the world, Napa, the Caribbean, Belize. I'm a Grey Goose girl. I mean, where do they find these dumb flops, right? And then she got up and lied about it in court, right? So she's going to get disqualified from this case. This case will go to another district attorney in Georgia, and no one in their right mind would bring this case again because it's not a crime to object to a presidential election. It's allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887. It's allowed by the First Amendment. Again, I want to say to these Democrat prosecutors and these Democrat hellholes, we're not messing around this time, right? So proceed accordingly.
Yeah, I don't know how they keep their law licenses after this. I just don't. I don't know how they stay within the bar after what they've done. And when the people know the truth, when people actually understand the truth, and now that we control the media ecosystem, now that more people have tuned out and it's broken and it's dead and it's gone, right? This election proved it once and for all. Now we can tell the truth. We can tell the true story. Kash Patel was on here talking about this just a second ago. Now is time for truth and reconciliation for the American people to actually understand how their government operates. We're very excited. We're very excited about this moment, Mike.
And this interview proves once again, like all my interviews with you, Ben Johnson, why I will never get confirmed to anything. So I will not be the AG. I will not be the White House counsel. I will not do anything. I'm going to be very happily running the Article 3 project, and we're going to very effectively work with the Trump administration to make sure that President Trump has a very successful second term, unimpeded by Democrat lawfare and election interference and all the other nonsense that they pulled. We're not messing around this time.
Just one quick meme for you, Mike, before you go. Just important. I mean, it could be you at that table with Trump, right? But this is the current state of the Democrat Party. And Nancy Pelosi's crying. Nancy Pelosi's crying salty sulfur tears. It's incredible. It's a remarkable moment in time, and so many of those tears are brought about by you, Mike, in the Article 3 project. Oh, you got to put it up. Just put it. It's my favorite photo on earth. It's my single favorite photo ever taken on earth, this side of the Trump assassination fight photo. Look at that. Look what you've done, Mike. Look what you've done to Nancy.
President Trump just mounted the greatest comeback in world history, right? And this guy, when he ran for office the first time, he was a novice. He had never run for office. He had never been an elected official. He made mistakes in his first term. He's not going to make those mistakes in his second term. We're not going to let Russian collusion, Russian disinformation, this BS lawfare, this election interference, it's not going to get in the way this time. And there will be consequences for crossfire hurricanes. So Andrew Weissman, be prepared.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you love the way that Mike talks, and if you love the swagger, and if you love the bare knuckle brawl of Mike's style, well, then stop donating to Republicans who do nothing. Donate to the Article 3 project instead. Make sure that you are fighting with the people who fight for us. Mike is the single bravest lawyer in America. Mike risked it all to come on shows like ours and tell the truth about what was happening over the last 4 years. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the organization that will save America legally. America's facing Republican-ending lawfare. Mike Davis's account on X has 300,000, 258,000 Americans. Can't be wrong. Follow Mike Davis, ladies and gentlemen. Godspeed, Mike. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
Buckle up, Democrats, and lawyer up. Good day, Ben.
It is a good day, Mike. the beautiful sunshine, bright and red, just like your hair. And we are ready to go. See you, Mike.
See ya.